The big question we're hearing a lot right now from home buyers is, should I buy now or should I wait for the market to bottom out? We all saw what happened back in February with these exorbitant sale prices. The market was crazy. It's definitely slowed down from an activity standpoint and a price point. I don't think we've seen the end of the slowdown yet. So that is the big question. What should I do? My goal today is to provide you with some, what I think is great information to kind of explain how rates and prices will interact with each other, how your payments will be different going forward, to help you kind of make a decision for yourself, whether right now is the time to buy or whether I should be waiting. So please stick with me on the other side of this intro and I will walk you through the numbers. Hey everybody, it's Rob Marsiglio back here with the Robert Marsiglio Realty Group, and today I want to walk you through some numbers. So I want to start off with kind of a brief overview of, what influences the 5-year fixed mortgage rates in Canada. How are those rates changing? What do we see going forward with those? What has happened with prices? A quick little recap, and then just break down a few different scenarios, whether, comparing buying in February of this year at the peak, 2 months later in April, and we'll kind of project a little bit into the future to kind of see what it looks like to buy in June as an example. I'll then give you my opinion on whether you should be buying now or whether you should be waiting, and one thing that everybody should be doing at this point in time if you are seriously considering buying in the next 90 to 120 days. So first, as promised, just a little kind of 50,000 foot view and an explanation of what causes the 5-year fixed mortgage rate to change in Canada. So it's all based on the Government of Canada's benchmark bond yield, the 5-year bond yield. So you can see this is pandemic time right around here where bond yields really dipped and rates stayed extremely low. Bond yields stayed low all the way through to February 2021. We saw them increase a bit from March until September, October, and then bond yields have slowly been creeping up, and that's why you've been seeing fixed rate mortgages, those 5-year fixed rates going up with a big spike starting in March until May of 2022, where we're at right now. To do the comparison of a similar chart, this goes back to April. So we missed a bit of the dip that we saw. Like if the graph was extended back this way a little more, you would see rates were higher at this point. But again, that same dip that we saw with those bond yields happened in the fixed rate mortgages. That's that blue line we're looking at right here. And you can say they stayed extremely low. Remember, we had a bit of a bump in March, so there's that bump with the rates here. And again, all the way up until about October, and that's since then we've slowly seen rates going up. And the indication from that bond yield chart is that we will see rates continue to rise in the near term, potentially longer. We'll see what happens there. So let's kind of take these numbers and run a few scenarios. For this scenario, we're going to look at homes kind of outside of Toronto. Like Toronto is being a little more insulated to these price drops. I still think there is some room to come down in Toronto as well, but we want to take like the most drastic areas. We'll kind of lump in the 905 together where, we've seen in some markets about an 18% drop from the height of the market in February to April. And then we'll apply that same drop from April to June. We'll see what rates have done in that time and kind of apply those rates to see how payments, what they would look like if you were to buy a home, how much would go to interest, how much would go towards paying off your principal, things like that. So for our first example, we're going to use February, which was the peak of the market, and let's see what rates were. So at the beginning of February, you could get a 5-year fixed mortgage for 2.94%, and we're going to operate under the assumption that you got approved for this rate, bought all in the same day, it all happened at the same time, just for simplicity's sake. Like, it wouldn't usually happen like this. You'd probably be locking in at a rate 60, 90 days before then, but let's just say, again, 2.94 is the rate we're going to use for this example. If you're buying $1 million home at that time and you had 20% down, which will operate under those assumptions as well, you'd be borrowing $800,000 from your lender. Again, assume it's TD, we get that 2.94% 5-year fixed rate starting February 1st, 2022 for a 5-year term, and we're making monthly payments. So your total payment will be $37.61, and you can see that just more than 50% is going to interest and just less than 50% is going towards your principal pay down on that first payment. If we scroll all the way down to the end of that 5-year term, you've made just over $108,000 in interest payments and just shy of $117,000 in principal payments. So the new amount that's going to be rolled over into your new mortgage is $683.06. The cost to borrow that $800,000 for 5 years was just under $109,000. So now, like we said, we're in April, the market has cooled down considerably. We're going to assume that that $1 million house has dropped 18% in value, and rates now, you lock in at this 3.69. That's the rate that's going on your mortgage in April when you buy that house. So 20% down on that purchase, and the principal that you're borrowing is $678,000 at 3.69%, and all the same. Amortization terms are all the same here. So your payment amount per month has come down. It's come down about $300 per month, but what you will notice is your interest payment is higher. The ratio of interest to principal payment is higher as well. Much more of that payment is going towards interest than going towards principal. At the end of those 5 years, borrowing $678,000 from the bank, the cost to borrow that money is $116,000, and you've paid down $91,000 in principal. So yes, your payment is less, but just again, the cost to borrow the money is actually more. So in this last example, we're trying to get the crystal ball out to see what's going to happen going forward. We're assuming that on June 1st, so we're doing this in 2-month increments, prices have come down another 18% and rates have gone up another 25%. That was the change before. So with all that being said, you would need to borrow $574,000 roughly at a rate of 4.64%. Amortization terms all stay the same. So one more time, 2/3 of that payment, which is again about $200 less per month than it would have been buying in April, but 2/3 of it's going towards interest. And by the end of that 5 years, you've paid another $8,000 or $16,000 more than if you had bought in February to borrow the money. So monthly payments less, cost to borrow the money more. So if paying the least amount per month is what's important to you, and it's not important how much it's costing to borrow that money, and everything keeps happening at the same pace that it is now, again, this is a big if, like how quick will rates keep going up, how much will prices drop? If that drop in prices is less, but the rates keep going up quicker, then maybe now is the time to buy. If everything stays kind of at the same pace it's going now, maybe waiting is a little bit. It just, what chance do you want to take? What I would say is if you're a cash buyer, it's probably not a bad idea to wait if you don't need financing. I do think the market still has some more to go down. I think that's kind of the general consensus. If you do need the financing though, take these numbers into account. My cost to borrow is going to be more the longer I wait, although my monthly payments will come down. The one thing that I think anybody should do who needs financing, who is planning on closing on a house in the next 90 to 120 days, is get pre-approved now and lock in that rate as soon as possible. I think we've only shown that rates are going to go up, so safeguard yourself against that. If you're going the 5-year fixed rate, lock in now is all I can say. So I hope this video has brought you a little bit of value. I hope you're getting value out of the channel as well. What do you think? Are you planning on buying now, or are you going to wait to see what the market does? I think the case can be made to do either at this point in time. Let me know in the comments below. What are you thinking? If you have any questions about these numbers, reach out to me. All the info is down below. I'm not the mortgage guy, I'm the real estate guy, but I can put you in touch with the mortgage person to really help you out and crunch these numbers even more to find out what is best for you. Please subscribe to the channel if you're getting value. Please like this video and share it with a friend who you think could benefit from hearing this information. And as always, until we speak again, cheers.